Hello friends! This week the new manga from the Baki series has finally been released. This new manga is titled Baki Rahen, and it appears to be the last arc of the story. That means that in this manga we will be seeing the definitive end of the Baki series. However, this doesn't mean the end is coming soon. Most likely being the last part of Baki, this manga will be one of the longest, probably having the same number of chapters as Son of Ogre. So, we still have some time to continue enjoying the Baki manga. The cover is beautiful, and on it, you can see Jack's titanium teeth. Without a doubt, this is one of the best covers of the manga. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the review of this intriguing chapter.
It's magnificent.
The chapter begins by showing us an evidently older man. The man was walking the streets of Tokyo leaning on a cane, yet he didn't seem like a typical old man. On the next page, we see that this man had arrived at Mitsunare's house. It seems they've known each other for a while since Mitsunare stated he recognized him instantly. This man was a martial arts master known as Hyochiro. However, his fame was due to his incredible skills as a swordsman. It's mentioned that the guy is 63 years old, but his body still retains some muscles, which means he hasn't stopped training despite the years. He says that, whether standing or sitting, he has never neglected his training. The reason for his visit is because he feels that he currently has nothing left to boast about. Due to his age, he feels his life as a martial artist is nearing its end. However, he's striving to keep alive that spark that motivated him to become a great swordsman. Mitsunare interrupts him and reminds him that for many years, several officers and members of the armed forces have come to him for instruction in the art of the sword. This man was known as the Manslicer due to his great skill with the sword. Many feared him, but at the same time held respect for him. In these panels, we can notice the striking physical resemblance this man has with the legendary swordsman Musashi Miyamoto. The man said he heard about someone who cut down 10 people with a single strike. Apparently this happened not too long ago, and the Japanese armed forces were the victims. However, he finds it hard to believe. Mitsunare proposes to the swordsman that he accepts a fight, simulating a duel where he can see for himself whether this story is true or false. The swordsman looks a bit concerned. For a moment, he thought his opponent might be Musashi, who was frozen somewhere in Japan. Mitsunare laughs and says that things are not as he thinks. He says his opponent will be someone totally different. The man asks if that person will also use a sword for the fight. Mitsunare says no, this man won't use any external weapon. However, within his body, he possesses a weapon harder than any metal. The old man snaps a bite in the air, referencing Jack's titanium teeth. The swordsman asks if he's supposed to face him with just that. Mitsunare confirms that's right. His opponent will not use any weapon other than his own body. After that conversation, the scene shifts and things now move to the Tokyo Dome. Here we see that Jack Hanma is ready for the fight. It's probably the day after the conversation Mitsunare had with the man resembling Musashi. The crowd is very excited since the biting cyborg has become one of their favorite fighters. The narrator introduces Jack Hanma and mentions that tonight a new face comes to challenge him in his own house. In the opposite corner, we can see the swordsman, with his sword ready to fight. The audience exclaims that the sword is a huge advantage for him since Jack is going to fight weaponless. Everyone wonders if weapons will be allowed this time. The referee calls them to the center of the arena to explain the fight rules. It's at this point that the significant size difference between the two fighters becomes apparent. The swordsman looks quite small compared to Jack, but that sword might be his trump card. Jack looks down and tells the man that he unfortunately chose the wrong opponent to fight, but he never turns down a challenge, which is why he accepted. After saying those words, Jack bows in a sign of respect, showing us that, despite having become so strong, he is still humble. The old man comments on how curious it is for Jack to lower his guard in front of a man with a sword. Despite the kind gesture, he believes letting one's guard down in front of an enemy isn't very smart, unless one is utterly confident in their victory. The referee confirms that everything is fair in this fight, including weapons, then instructs them to return to their corners. Both fighters go back to their positions, and the referee starts the match. The swordsman begins to walk slowly while Jack just waits to see his first move. Jack gets into a defensive stance as his opponent slowly approaches. Just as the old man gets in front of Jack, he doesn't hesitate for a second and unsheathes his sword. The swordsman makes a quick move with the aim of cutting his opponent. Fortunately, Jack manages to dodge the attack by ducking, showing off his impressive speed. Jack begins to open his mouth, preparing for his opponent's next move. Suddenly, a bright flash obscures the view, making it hard to see what's happening in the center of the arena. All the audience could discern was that the old man struck again with his sword. To the swordsman's surprise, Jack had managed to stop the sword with his teeth. The old man tried to move his sword, but it was futile. Jack's bite held so firm that he ended up wrenching the weapon from the swordsman's hands. The swordsman couldn't believe what was unfolding. This man had halted his sword using just his teeth. Following this, we see Jack shatter the sword with his powerful bite. The sword falls in pieces, and Jack appears to be unscathed. Seeing this, the old man immediately surrenders, knowing that he is no match for Jack without his sword. And that's how the chapter ended. Once again, we witnessed a fight that lasted only a few seconds. Honestly, I don't know what to think of this chapter. For the beginning of this new arc, it seemed really weird to me. In previous arcs, Itagaki always introduced the antagonist from the first chapter, but not this time. Well, I don't think that old man is the antagonist for this arc, because we saw Jack defeat him in a matter of seconds. By the way, if I remember correctly, this guy is the same one that Musashi humiliated in his first show of power. If I'm wrong, please correct me. It's been a long time since I read that part, and I can't recall which chapter it was. It's intriguing how this man bears a striking resemblance to Musashi, living a swordsman's life even in his sleep. I won't lie, when I watched this chapter without knowing the context, I genuinely thought Musashi had come back to life, but in an older body. Putting all that aside, I'm glad this arc started with Jack. Perhaps this means we're finally going to focus on Baki's older brother. It's been over a year since Jack challenged all the fighters in the underground arena, and we've been waiting all that time to finally see how these matches unfold. It feels good knowing the wait is finally over. I don't know, do you think the reference to Musashi hints that we'll see him in action again during this arc? I hope so. The conclusion given to his character was pitiful, so I hope Itagaki treats him better, but without overshadowing Jack. If it's true that this will be the final part of the series, we might see multiple antagonists throughout this arc. Personally, I'd love to see characters like Ali Jr. return to the story for their redemption arc. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see old characters come back, or if you'd prefer a completely new antagonist. Let's not forget that Nomi became friends with Baki, so he's likely to be a main character in this new arc. I don't know at first, I didn't really like him, but he grew on me towards the end. And as I mentioned earlier, it's interesting that Baki wasn't in this chapter. Perhaps this means his brother will now be the main character. Whatever the case, all we can do is wait for the next chapter. I don't know when it's coming out, but let's remember that Itagaki isn't known for being consistent, so expecting 4 chapters in a row might be too optimistic. Also, I remind you again that, although this is the last part of the Baki series, it is very likely that this will be the manga with the most chapters of the whole series. So get ready for an exciting story. With nothing more to add, I'd see you soon. Take care and remember to exercise. Also share your opinions about this chapter in the comments box. And well friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.